My people, what's up? Welcome back to another video. So today, as usual, bringing dope people onto this channel. Like right now, this channel, how they play. If I not they rate you, you suffer before you get here. I'm just kidding. Please, I'm playing. So today I have here Evans, Evermore Media. Boss, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so please introduce yourself before I start digging in.
All right. My name is Evans. My brand name is Evermore Media. I'm based out of Toronto, Ontario. I'm Ghanaian, born in Ghana, educated in Ghana a little bit. So yeah, it's nice to be back home, and on Yemoh's channel, because this channel, one of the most influential channels in the country. So always respect a lot of respect
Thanks,
for
thanks to you guys. You know, you are part of the people, like in the beginning, those who supported, like always on the channel, encouraging, like watching. We talk behind the scenes and everything. So I really appreciate.
Thank you,
We'll
sir.
keep pushing, boss.
Yes, sir.
Now, why did you leave us here in Ghana?
Oh,
Why?
me living in Ghana was more of an educational decision. I left the country for education. So I'm a proud student or former student of St. Augustine's College in Cape Coast. Then I went over to Accra Polytechnic a little bit to do my HND in marketing. But somewhere along the line, whilst I was doing marketing, I think at that time it was my grandfather who sort of introduced me into technology. So he said, technology is the greatest and best thing right now. So if you really want to get ahead, I think you should look into that. And the opportunity opened up for me to go study in Canada, so I took it. And I went out there to study computer science. And well, the story goes, ended up staying after school. So yeah.
Okay, so I want to know how you got into this media thing, this YouTube and this
YouTube and
photography, videography, all of those. I know you do that a lot. But now I want to ask this before we go there.
okay.
You said your granddad advised you to learn technology because technology is here to stay. Okay, so I remember way back. I don't remember the year, but I did hardware. And trust me, if you think you can still use that hardware now
Now.
to survive,
Yes.
you are lying.
Yes.
So, what do you think we should do? Should someone specify and learn one particular thing about technology, or you have to keep learning?
It's a non-stop journey of learning. I think when did I actually finish my first class? My first class was 2004 when I did my first. I got my bachelor's in computer science since 2004. But then, right after that, I went back to school again. Right, I did generalized computer science, including programming, hardware, and other stuff. After that, I went back to school, took another 1 year course, learning more of the hardware side, specializing in hardware, network engineering, doing the Cisco stuff, the CCNA, and all that stuff.
Oh, I did
But
CCNA.
oh, nice. But you don't stop, right? Because from there, you got to keep on because things are changing every day, every 6 months. There's something new. There's new technologies coming up. So if you want to get into that field and you want to stay relevant, the goal is to keep upgrading yourself. Even if it's a 6 months course, 3 months course, online courses, seminars, keep doing it every time. And that's that's what I do to keep myself relevant. Right. So when I first started, I started off with hardware, being a hardware technician. My first job was software hardware integration, which was, basically
Installing Windows XP.
installing Windows XP. I used to be able to drive maybe 5 hours, right, just to go plug in a mouse and drive back home. Right, that was it.
Wow.
From then, I got into the management, mid management tier of technology. Keep growing, keep learning, keep growing. So now I am more on the project management side of IT, But because I have gone through all the ranks, my sort of project management skills, it's kind of hard to come by because most project managers start off as project managers. Because I've gone through from the beginning all the way and worked my way to the top, my projects are more efficient in the way that I understand the technologies that I'm talking about. So I'm not just doing management stuff without knowing the real stuff on the floor, on the ground, right? Because I've done it. So I know, and my project team members understand that and respect that because they know that when I talk and I give timelines, I'm not just making up the timelines based on assumptions, but because I have the experience in what they're doing as well.
Sure.
So
Okay.
education is
Yeah,
the key.
is the key.
Continuous
Yeah,
education.
you have to keep learning.
Yes.
Even on YouTube. Don't think you just come on YouTube and because one thing is working and that's it. Forget. Next 2 months, you see changes.
Changes all the time.
Okay, so now you do weddings, right? Yeah, you cover a lot of things.
Yes.
Where from that? Because IT and camera, they are not
They're
friends.
related. Yes, yes. I've always had the passion for creating since I was a kid. I had liked hands-on stuff. I had liked to see what I have done, what I have, something that I have created. My love for cinema and cameras and stuff like that. I think I've always had it since I was a baby, but well, since I was a kid, but I've never really worked on it. And I remember those days, in the days of film photography, I had a film camera. My first camera I bought was a film camera. Played around with it a little bit. I brought it to Ghana a couple of years ago and just gave it away. Never really did much with photography for a while. But then a couple years, long time ago, when there was CDs and DVDs and stuff like that, those of you who are old enough, you remember VHS tapes and
VHS.
stuff like that.
It is Piamonko. You know Piamonko.
Because I remember back days in Canada, we couldn't get Ghana movies, Nigerian movies, and stuff like that because they were all on VHS tapes. And when VHS tapes started fading out, myself and a friend of mine were one of the very first people who started taking the old VHS tapes, converting them to DVDs and CDs, and selling them out there. At that time, they were selling for like $2 per CD or whatever it was.
At that time, it was a bit expensive.
At that time, it was considered expensive, and then we started selling it. Actually, we started selling at about $10, and then we're making some good money out of it. Then everybody started doing it and selling it for $2, so we stopped, right? But I've had that movie technology side of that, cameras and stuff like that, filmmaking stuff, as a passion for a long time. After that, stopping the duplication stuff, I didn't do much until my twins were born, right? So I don't tell the stories much, but whenever I tell it, sometimes it makes me cry. But my wife got pregnant. We were expecting twins. Actually, I didn't even know we were expecting twins, but when we went to the hospital and the doctor said, "Oh, you're expecting twins," I think I didn't speak for another day or so because it was a shock. I wasn't expecting it. But earlier on in her pregnancy, she developed complications, and my twins were born really early. They were born at 28 weeks, right? And before they were born, the doctors were like, at 28 weeks, they don't think they will make it.
It's very early, 28.
Very early.
28. So let me explain it to those of you who don't know these things. Like, by God's grace, we've been there. We've experienced it. 28 weeks is just like, I don't know, the baby is like very tiny. Very tiny. I don't know if I'm exaggerating, but very tiny. Trust me.
In fact, I could fit both of them in my palm like that. Side by side.
So you can get the picture.
So that's when, sometimes doctors will say whatever they want to say, but I believe in God. I know that through prayers, God can intervene in any situation. So I said to myself that even if they survive a day on this planet, I have to capture as much of that as possible. So that same day they were born, I went out and I grabbed the Canon T5, and I came back to the hospital while they were there in the incubator, and I started taking pictures. So I was taking pictures like crazy. I was taking pictures of them, taking pictures of every little thing that I can of them because I wanted to hold on to that memory. I didn't believe the doctor's saying, but I still wanted to have that little bit so that in case the worst happened, I have that little memories of them, right? So I took my pictures, we're praying, took the pictures, we're praying. God's grace, they are about to turn 8 now, fully healthy, strong. And the doctors were like, oh, even if they survive, they may have some complications and stuff. But trust me, they are strong and causing so much trouble, but it's good trouble, right? I like it. And so through that, whilst I'm taking pictures of them, they came home. They spent about 4 months in the hospital, came home. And every month, I stage a photo shoot for them in my house. I say a photo shoot with them from my house. Then I started shooting out little friends and family events and stuff like that. Then there was a photographer friend of mine, very nice guy, older guy, but nice guy. He did my wedding actually. And then I started posting on Instagram. So as I was posting some of the stuff I'm taking on Instagram, the guy calls me up and says, "Oh, you're really doing good. Do you want to come shoot with me sometimes?" He says, "I can afford to pay you, but if you want to shoot with me sometimes, you can come around." So I went with him. He's a wedding photographer, right? I went with him to shoot weddings for free at the beginning because he couldn't, pay.
And at least
And I
you'll
just
be
wanted the
learning something.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted the experience. I loved what I was doing. I wanted the experience. So I shot with him for a couple of months, shooting weddings as a second shooter for him. So one day he says, "Oh, we have 2 weddings today. You're shooting one. I'm shooting one." Right. So I went off on my own to shoot a wedding. He went off on his own to shoot another wedding. And since then, I've just been shooting weddings. So I was shooting weddings, but I'm the kind of person who always likes to evolve. I've been shooting photos, but I realized that in most situations, when people come to you for a wedding, they also need a videographer. And so I set out to learn video and film. I took a couple of online courses. We have Skillshare, and I think I took one on Udemy. Then I took a couple of workshops. And then I started deep diving into films, understanding the tech behind films, the reasons why we select certain shutter speeds, ISOs, and stuff like that, transferring some of my photo knowledge into video. Then I began to deep dive into sound. Right. The sound thing has always been there because I've been operating mixer boards and stuff for churches. At one point, I had a hobby of doing sound production in my home studio basement. And so the sound thing was always there. But now taking that knowledge of sound and bringing it into video, because one thing is this: your video quality may be as good as you can, but if the sound is poor, sometimes people will just switch away.
Yeah.
So you gotta have a good balance between those two, right? And that's where I learned, and I started doing that, and I started doing sound professionally also on movie sets. So in the Toronto area, if someone is looking for a sound engineer for a movie recording, I do it. I operate the boom, mic up the people, laugh and stuff like that.
You have strength.
You know,
Holding it.
most of the time, but there's other ways. Sometimes you don't have to hold it. Right? Sometimes you have a C stand, boom it over
okay, okay.
and stuff like that. Depends on the scene. But, it's been nice. So I've always loved that passion and stuff for that. So yeah, a lot of people ask the same questions. Why do you be an IT guy who's doing YouTube and stuff like that? It's because I love that. I love photography. I love filmmaking. I just love the idea of me watching what I have created. Right. That's my whole YouTube journey was for me. It's not for anybody.
Yeah.
It was just for me to share and document my growth as I learn some of these things.
And sometimes it's also a hobby.
It is a
That's
hobby.
yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, that is how I see this very channel. Maybe the other channel, like the agenda there, the couple channel, like we want to share experiences, motivate people, and like yeah. So that one different, but this one, honestly, it's just like a hobby for me. I just enjoy doing these things.
Yeah.
The next time like I said, the next moment you see something different on this channel. The next one I said I'm doing deep inside. Next moment I'm doing this. Like I have the fire burning in me, so I'm just like doing it. So I understand where you're coming from. It's a hobby. Like
Yeah.
it's not for anybody.
Photography and video was a hobby, and it still is a hobby to a certain extent. But now it's become more of a business. It's become a side business. Let me call it that way. So I still do my full time IT job. The photos and the videos are a side hobby or a side job, which has turned into some sort of a business that brings in quite a good, sizable extra income to help support certain things, right? It helps me. It gives me a little bit more freedom to do certain things that I want to do
Yeah.
because of that.
Sure. So guys, I hope you got inspired with the twin story. Yes. And I think I had one lady on this channel, and she also mentioned something like she had autoimmune disease, and under that autoimmune disease you have lung issue, a whole lot, and her system was fighting her immune system was fighting her, and doctors are saying she might not be able to live. She was on medication. She said she prayed and she just dropped the medication, everything, and it worked. But that doesn't mean you should go and do the same, please.
Take your medication
Yes.
as prescribed,
Yes.
but also believe in God
Yes.
because He can do all things,
Yes.
right? Prayer is always the key. So
It worked. Then she's still living. Like the Relentless Boss, that's her name, and that's her channel, so you can watch her. Mr. Evans,
yes, sir.
with the story you just shared, I don't want us to touch any other thing to come and spoil that story. I want people to
Yes.
take away. They should take it.
Yes, very
Yes,
important.
Very important. So I think I would like to thank you for coming. And if you have any final message.
No, just want to thank you for having me. If you're not on Yemoh, you haven't been noticed yet. You know?
Yes, as for that one,
Yeah,
I agree.
If you're not here, you haven't been noticed
Yes,
yet.
you have to come here. Okay, guys, thanks for watching, and subscribe to the channels. Description box, everything you need to know is there. See you guys next time. Peace out.